I'm here with Dan Ventura of Dan Ventura Fitness at the PROMiXX HQ. And we're just going to ask Dan a few questions about his life running into the WBFF Worlds.
How you doing, Will? You good?
I'm good. Thanks for coming down.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure, Will. Nice to see you.
So you're now 3 weeks out of the WBFF World competitions, which are going to be held at the O2 in London.
That's right. Yeah.
How is your prep currently running into that? How are you feeling? I mean, looking at you, your condition is insane. You've got the kind of condition that most people spend years in the gym trying to achieve.
Yeah.
For you, where are you right now?
Right now, I'm still not happy. I don't think I'll ever be happy with my condition. But yeah, I've got 3 weeks now to drop the calories. The cardio is going to go through the roof. So all I'm focusing on now is stripping back the body fat, get as lean as possible whilst preserving as much gains as I possibly can, and then jump on stage end of August. So I'm looking forward to it.
So your body fat percentage, then obviously you're trying to bring that down constantly. You're sitting at what percentage right now?
It's about 6% now, and I'm aiming to get to about 4% before I jump on stage.
And before you started your prep, what kind of percentage were you sitting at?
I hover around 8% all year round, so I try not to creep up too high past that figure, because I find that getting fat basically it doesn't really work for me. I like to stay lean all year round and try and build size while staying lean.
So you don't go for this kind of traditional ethos then of a bulk off season and then run in and kind of shred down? No,
definitely not.
Talk to us a little about then your kind of maintenance plan, as you would, I guess, call it.
Well, I say to people that muscle and fat, they're completely two different entities. It's like oil and water. Easy way to find body fat is if you tense a muscle. So that's my bicep. Anything that's not hard is going to be skin and body fat. So that will give you a good gauge of what body fat percentage you've got, rather than using calipers or any other traditional methods. Because it's oil and water, that antiquated view of bulking up to strip down, fat and muscle will never be the same thing. So there's no point in getting fat in the first place.
So as far as training is concerned for you at the moment, does your training change much running into competition?
Yes. Towards the end, well, initially it's more about hypertrophy, so it's more about getting strength and building up size. Towards the end, it turns into more cardio-based workouts, plyometrics, and also compound exercises. Basically, it's just to deplete the glycogen stores from the entire body and get you into ketosis, help get you into ketosis faster, and then you start releasing ketone bodies and start incinerating fat like no tomorrow.
So you're trying to hit ketosis, so you get into that fat burning state for as much intensity as possible then?
No, that's exactly right, yeah. The two things combined, the diet and the training, it's a match made in heaven, and you get really good results in a short time frame as well. So I'm 3 weeks away now, and I'm nowhere near as lean as I'll be on stage, so yeah, watch this space.
And how many days are you training a week at the moment?
It's about 6 days a week. I always incorporate at least one rest day a week, and the reason being, if you do train too much, your cortisol levels start to increase, your stress hormone, and the cortisol stress hormone is a fat storage hormone, and it's also catabolic, so you'll burn muscle and store fat. So if you train a little bit too hard and stress yourself out, then it can have a very counterproductive effect on the body.
And are you introducing longer durations of training? So you're doing longer sessions now that you're running into competition?
100%, yes. Typically throughout the year, I'll train maybe 1 to 2 hours. Coming up to a prep, it turns into 3 to 5 hours. So
you're spending a lot of time in the gym at the minute.
Oh my God, this is unbelievable. I'm so long in the gym that I go through all cycles of needing the toilet, needing something to eat, needing to make a phone call. Yeah, I'm in there for hours. So
it's your new office.
I have to take in a packed lunch for a workout.
So talking about packed lunches,
yes.
How is your eating in the minute? Are you also increasing the number and frequency of meals that you're taking now running into competition?
It's funny you should say that, because I'm doing the exact opposite at this moment in time.
Okay.
So I'm doing an intermittent fast every single day, so I don't start eating until about 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it depends on my daily schedule. And I've also got a company called Bespoke Fitness Fuels, and thankfully they're doing my prep meals for me. So I've given them the amount of calories I want per day, given the macro ratio, which right now is a very high fat Well, in actual fact, 75% of my calories come from fat right now, 20% come from protein, and 5% come from carbs. So luckily for me, they take all the science out of it, all the calculations out of it, and they just give me a nice little packed lunch, which they leave on my front doorstep every morning. I pick up the bag, eat what's in the bag, and that's it.
I guess with 5 hours in the gym at the moment, you need all the help you get in terms of time savings. So so it's a big bonus in your life right now.
100%, yeah. I don't want to be weighing food out at 9 o'clock at night.
So kind of going back to where you were running into your, I guess, cut, if you want to call it shred, I think is what the term that you use at the moment. Roughly how many calories were you on then, and how many are you on now? I know this is obviously very different for everybody who trains. It depends on your size and weight when you start and your goals and everything. But just from your perspective right now, what's that difference been in kind of calorie consumption?
Calories, they started off quite high, so it was around 3,000, 3,500. Currently I'm on 2,100, but I will be coming down to about 1,500 closer to the competition time.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Do you find that period difficult then, when just as you're getting into competition, you're cutting the calories so drastically and the training is increasing so much?
Do you know, strangely enough, I seem to be fine. Like when I've done it in the past, you seem to get an energy, a mysterious energy from somewhere. The reason being, the main reason being is when you are in ketosis, your body's running on fat, and the difference between fat and carbohydrates, carbohydrates is like running the body on petrol, whereas running the body on fat is like running the body on jet fuel. So although people think that carbs is the best energy source for them and they can't live without carbs, when you are actually in ketosis, your energy levels go through the roof. It gives you 10 times more energy.
So ketosis for you then, is that a kind of a state of being that you generally maintain to a certain level anyway? So do you generally have a relatively low carb diet?
Yes. All year round. Staying lean is my hardest achievement. Putting on size, I've always found very easy, and maintaining size has always been easy. I don't have to go too crazy with amino acids and BCAAs and glutamine to preserve muscle. So I always preserve muscle quite easily, but staying lean is the hardest thing. So 365 days a year, I'll be having a low carb diet, and I'll typically have a cheat window once a week. And I've done that for many, many years, and I'm more than happy with that.
So obviously there's a whole world of supplements out there that you can be taking, other people can be taking. So do you have a particular set of supplements that you include in your day-to-day life in order to kind of help you maintain your dietary goals and your training goals?
Yes. I mentioned BCAAs and glutamine. I take 2 grams of BCAAs, 2 grams of glutamine 3 times a day. So that's with my main meals. I'll take those amino acids to preserve muscle, stop me turning catabolic when I'm training too hard and doing too much cardio. Also, one thing that's essential right now is creatine, especially on a ketogenic diet. When you're on a ketogenic diet, you deplete your muscles of glycogen, so I'm not eating any carbohydrates, so I've got to get some energy sources from somewhere. And creatine has a great ability to store water in the muscles, so it'll give you that power and that strength that you need in your workouts when you're not having any carbs. So
there's a lot of bodybuilders out there that would use creatine as a cell volumizer,
yes,
in order to kind of make the muscles look bigger and more swole, if you like.
Yeah, this is true.
So you obviously kind of tend to include that as a regular part then of your diet, because you're low in carbs, so you're not getting that transportation of carbs so much to the muscle cells, so you're relying then a little bit more on things like creatine.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that supplement is absolutely essential, especially when you're ketogenic. It's essential. It's not impossible to train without it, but it makes it a lot more difficult.
And what about protein shakes?
Protein shakes, currently I'm not on protein shakes because my fat intake has increased. My protein intake has come down significantly. One of the problems with a ketogenic diet is that if you have too much protein, that protein is converted into glycogen, into effectively carbohydrate, through a process called glyconeogenesis. So your body goes, right, I'm not getting any carbs here, so I'm going to turn that protein into carbohydrate and then start filling up the muscles with glycogen, which is exactly what you don't want to happen when you're trying to reach ketosis. So protein shakes are out the window at the moment, but rest assured, when I come off this competition and go back to a normal training diet, I'll be using PROMiXX Lean Core by PROMiXX, and PROMiXX Hardcore as well to pack on a bit of size.
So in terms of protein shakes, and when you're in your normal kind of stasis, if you like, how many are you taking a day or a week, and where do you fit those in around your meals?
I'm not too clinical where I take my protein shake, so sometimes I'll have it for my first meal. It works well post-workout. It works really well after a workout, about an hour afterwards. The reason I take it about an hour afterwards is because my body, after strenuous exercise, is looking for fuel, looking for calories, and if I give myself calories straight away, I'm going to use the stuff that's in my stomach. But if I leave an hour gap, then that gives my body a chance to actually burn some fat for energy, and then of course I give it the amino acids and the protein that I need to build the muscle.
Okay.
So there's a nice little tip there. So leave an hour gap if you want to burn a bit more fat.
Obviously, you're about to step on stage at the WBFF Worlds shortly. How long have you been competing in that arena?
My first competition was in 2014, so I'm relatively new to the WBFF World. So this will be my third and largest competition in this federation.
And the WBFF Worlds, that's a kind of invitation-only selection process in order to get into that. Obviously, you need to be a WBFF Pro, I take it.
That's correct.
In order to end up at the WBFF Worlds.
Yes. So this is for professionals. There is an amateur section that they're holding on the same day, but I'm competing against other professionals, so literally the best physiques in the entire world. But this is for prize money, so this is on a professional basis, and there's eyes on the prize for this one.
Absolutely. Well, you're putting in the work for it. Is there anyone in particular that you see as your strongest competition running into this event?
Yes, sadly I've got two guys that are really, really hard to beat, and that's William Spillade and Justin Gonzalez, and both of them are world champions. So Justin won the world championship the year before Williams. So we're talking about two guys at top of their league. So I've got my work cut out.
We've seen those guys many times, and they have some pretty incredible physiques. Is there anything in particular that you feel you might have a slight competitive edge against those guys?
I think I'm different. So there'll be. I'm a little bit more quirky and a little bit more eccentric. Those guys look great, but what I can show on stage is my personality. So when it comes down to physiques, your physique can look great, but it's how you present it on stage, which is one of the key features, is the stage presence. And I think I may be able to pull something out of the bag which will make me stand out just a little bit more than those guys.
Cool, we look forward to seeing that on stage.
Yeah, I want to win.
Obviously, you're being really disciplined with your diet at the moment. You have your regime that you kind of slot into your training and your lifestyle. What about cheat day? Is that a thing for you? Is that something you follow?
Oh, 100%. Once a week at least, I'll let myself have a bit of a blowout, a little bit of a treat. Nowadays, though, I try not to have a cheat day, more of a cheat meal stroke cheat window. So I try not to extend it past 3 hours. And one of the main reasons being is your body's like a petrol tank. Every muscle that you've got in your body and your liver stores glycogen. So when you eat an excess of carbohydrates, it's going to get converted into glycogen and stored in those muscles. Now, the average body stores about 2,000 calories worth. So that's a sort of marker to tell you where that petrol tank of glycogen will fill up. And anything that you eat on top of that will be stored somewhere else. And have a guess where it's going to be stored. In fat cells, of course. So it's best, as a general rule, not to overdo it on a cheat day. I know people that have a cheat weekend. I know some people have a cheat week. So
I have a cheat lifestyle.
Yeah, so too much is not a good thing. But try and keep it small. But rest assured, after this competition, I already know what I'm going to be having, and that's a Five Guys. And I'm going to go into Dunkin' Donuts and get a dozen donuts, and I'm going through the lot.
Dunkin' Donuts, not Krispy Kremes then?
Oh yeah, whatever's closest. I'm not fussy.
So, on your normal cheat meals, as it were, is there anything, have you got a go-to that you just can't resist?
There's a little dish that they sell in Waitrose, funnily enough, and it's a red Thai green curry. And it
Amazing.
comes with rice as well. And I don't know what it is about it, but it's delicious. And yeah,
So
I
do you,
find myself
do you
buying
sit and have a couple of those then in one go? Or,
I have been known, yes. Back to back.
Great. So for you at the moment then, you've got a really extensive training and diet program. Is there anything that you've been working on your physique since the last competition?
Yes. Thankfully, because of these competitions, it's very subjective. So I get lots of photographs after the show, and I can see and I can make comparisons against other athletes on the stage and recognize, okay, I need to work on my hamstrings, I need to work on my calves, my lats don't look that great, shoulders could do with a little bit more amplification. And from that information, I can get to the gym and then start, like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say, start sculpting these body parts.
So specifically, what muscles have you been working on then in order to improve since your last competition?
Well, it's been mainly hamstrings, calves, and lats.
And have you got any particular exercises that you've employed in order to bring those muscles on a bit more?
Yes, definitely. I mean, there's some exercises that I use on my clients. I have some clients that are hard gainers. They find it incredibly difficult to get any width on their lats and other body parts. So the exercises that I chuck onto them, I've been using myself.
Obviously, you've been doing this for years. Many other people have also been doing this, training hard for many years. Are there any particular things that you find that you come across with your training clients that are quick fixes for you to help people employ? Any hints and tips that you can just say to people, do you know what, if you're going to get really involved in the gym and you want the best gains, what are your great tips?
I think my best advice for anyone entering the gym is don't follow any antiquated views and perspectives on sets and reps. Now, typically, I hear it all day long. Most people will do 3 sets of an exercise and they do 10 to 15 reps. Now, unfortunately, with this methodology, they're stopping right at the point where they're going to get any significant gains with their muscles. And the best way to describe it is I'll give you a visual example. If I'm doing bicep curls, when I get to 10 reps, I'm not feeling too much. When I get to about 15 reps, then the pain starts to kick in. The muscle starts to burn. And what's happening at that stage? The muscle's filling up. The muscle belly's filling up with blood. The muscle fibers start to split apart, and you're going to feel lactic acid in between those muscle fibers, telling your brain that you're ripping the muscle. So it sends a signal to the brain saying, "Stop what you're doing. You're hurting me." So it's effectively like putting your hand on a hot plate, and you get that signal to the brain saying, "Pull your hand away. It's a hot plate." Now, the problem with stopping at 15 is that you're stopping at the exact point where you're going to make muscle. So what I encourage people to do, and this is my best bit of advice for anyone starting at the gym, is when it starts to hurt, do an extra 5 to 10 reps on top. So if you normally stop on 15, do 25 reps, and then you're definitely going to get some growth.
So obviously, going by that kind of mentality in the gym, you would be more of an advocate of kind of dropping the weight down rather than going with big weights and trying to isolate for 8 to 10 reps. You would say, actually, do you know what, let's do this exercise properly and focus on a particular muscle and make sure do you believe in I guess you do believe in the term mind-muscle connection then?
100%.
So making sure that you're using your brain to connect on a particular muscle to make sure you're moving it properly rather than just picking up a big weight and throwing it around.
100%. I couldn't agree more. A lot of people get too wrapped up in doing a certain number of repetitions, and the number is irrelevant. So if you get to 15 and it says on the little card, do 15 reps, and you stop at 15 but you're not feeling any pain, you've absolutely wasted your time. You might as well have sat on a sofa and watched television. The number doesn't matter at all. Listen to that muscle. When you start to feel that burning sensation that sends a signal to the brain, that's when you're making muscle. From that's the point where the magic happens, and that's the point where you need to do a few more. Now, it's interesting that you mention heavy sets with low reps and light weights with lots of reps. There's been scientific studies, ACSM, I think the American College of Sports Medicine, they were the ones that did a series of tests on hypertrophy, and they were able to ascertain that people that did low weights but high reps, and also people that did heavy weights but low reps could increase muscle size exactly the same. So there was no differentials between gains. So to give you an example, I'm quite big now. I'm bigger than I've ever been in my life, and the majority of my training is from light weights with lots and lots of reps and good technique and slow eccentrics, etc. So yes, I want to prove to people that you don't have to, be macho and throw about heavy weights. I see some fellas in the gym that are lifting weights they can barely lift, and they're doing 5 terrible reps with terrible form, and they're not making any muscle, and all they're doing is making a noise and making a tit out of themselves. So drop the heavy weights, drop the ego, pick up some 8 kilograms, chuck out 100 reps, and see how much your muscle will be burning from that.
Right now then, you're a personal trainer, you're a level 3 qualified personal trainer, you're also a physique champion, so the former UK WBFF champion. You're just about to go into the WBFF Worlds. What is it that brought you here? Where did your kind of career progress into this point?
Well, from the very start, when I was 18, I left school and I had aspirations of being an actor. My original plan was to go to Rose Bruford to college and study acting, but a competition came up in the Daily Express, and a friend of my mother's saw the ad and decided that I should go in for the competition. I was lucky enough to place and win in this competition, and I won a contract with Storm Model Management, who used to look after Kate Moss. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but
yeah,
she was there.
She's been around a while. Pretty big. And Elle McPherson, I believe, as well, didn't
yeah,
he?
this is right.
Storm as well, yeah.
Yeah. So a few big names. I hate name dropping, of course. But yes, because of that contract, I was lucky enough to bypass the college, bypass the studying, and get into acting and do TV commercials through the model agency. But in 2004, I was lucky enough to be picked to be on the front cover of Men's Health magazine. Back then, I was the first ever British fashion model to appear on the front cover. So I was, fortunate to achieve that accolade. And ever since then, I got a lot more work as a fitness model, and people were asking me questions about diet, training, and I thought, I need to buck my ideas up and need to study because, this is obviously where I need to be heading towards with my career. I studied in 2007 to be a PT, and ever since then I've been training people, but obviously continuing with fitness modeling, acting, personal training, and doing the whole lot. So
now then you're helping everyday people in their lives to achieve fitness goals and objectives and dietary goals and objectives as well, so you can help people with weight loss and muscle building as well.
Yep, I help everyone. So I help people that have got early stage diabetes, pre-postnatal ladies, also some people that are a little bit overweight. I'm also training fitness models. I'm prepping someone right now for a competition. So I've got a lot of different people that I'm seeing to right now. So it's a very rewarding job. I love it.
So obviously your life is quite heavily consumed by lots of training and strict diets at the moment. Have you got any particular motivators that help you to stay disciplined and drive you forward?
Yes, I think I can speak for most people when I say social media, and especially Instagram, is something that helps me on a daily basis. Whenever I've got 5 minutes to myself, I'm always having a little flick through, and of course on my feed I'm friends with and following a lot of other fitness models, and they just keep me on track. So if I feel that my diet is slipping, or if I'm not training hard enough, I'll flick through Instagram and I'll see someone that's absolutely shredded, and I'll think, right, let's get cracking, let's get in the gym, let's get motivated.
And I'd also like to get maybe a prediction from you for the WBFF Worlds. From obviously, I don't want to get you to predict in your own categories, but what about the women? Are there any kind of women that you've seen on the circuit recently who are training hard and dieting well and look like you're thinking actually this might be their year?
There's a few people that I think will do really well. I think a fellow PROMiXX teammate is Claire Aves. She's looking very good right now. I think this could be a very good year for her. Could be a very good competition for her as well.
Right now, you're starring in a series of TV commercials as He-Man.
Yeah.
I remember He-Man from the early 90s. I used to watch him as a kid. That's got to be pretty much a dream come true for anyone, I think, to be He-Man in real life. What's the future hold for you?
Well, I've recently just come back from the Ukraine, and I've filmed a second in the series of the Money Supermarket ads. This series, I had to dance, and something I'm not very familiar with. I had to learn some choreographed dancing, but I'm pleased to say that Richard, the choreographer, did an amazing job. He actually taught me how to dance the salsa, do all the moves in the space of a week and a half. And I'm so proud of my work in the last commercial. And the last commercial is going to blow the first one out of the water. So it's looking really good. There's a few other things in the pipeline off the back of this commercial. I can't talk too much in detail right now, but if you're going to be close to a television anytime soon in the near future, no doubt you'll see me on there.